Zoom on Friday, this after former President Jacob Zuma challenged the line of questioning by evidence leader Paul Pretorius. Zuma complained to the Commission that he was being cross-examined by the inquiry. Now on Tuesday, former President Zuma's legal team raised objection after another, saying the former president was being treated unfairly. For more on this now, we're joined by SABC Senior Political Reporter Mzwandile Mbeje, who was there for us. Mzwai, very good evening to you. Is the president and his legal team considering pulling out? We saw several times during today's proceedings questioning the line of questioning and seeming very irritated.
Well, I think, Griselda, it will be too premature to say they considering pulling out. But they've made it clear that they will not be party to a session that is unfair to them. What is important, Griselda, are those discussions that will take place tomorrow. So they will determine what happens, and then on Friday I think the judge will know. Remember, he's there at the commission at the invitation of the commission, so I think that's why they are able to discuss, to say what is it that we're here for. We feel perhaps you are encroaching into the space that we are not prepared for.
Mzwai, talk us through some of those objections. What is this that is of so much concern to former President Jacob Zuma's legal team?
Well, they are basically saying they find themselves being cross-examined and then being asked questions really that he should have been told about so that he was going to prepare. Remember, they spoke about the issues of the Transnet CEO. He basically said, I mean, there was no process as far as he was concerned that was flouted in terms of appointing him. But the questions continued insofar as the process of appointing other executives. And then they felt, you know what, and some of even these issues that are being asked are issues that are dealt with by people, either the ministers or the directors general. So they felt maybe that is not the right thing to do. So as a result, they would need a hearing with the judge. That's why they were granted the postponement and discussion tomorrow. Yeah,
Mzwai, it all started to unravel when there was a lot of questions or wanting to understand how deployment within the African National Congress works. Talk us through a bit about that. And of course, a lot of that focus on Siyabonga Gama. We see the name of Maseko that was brought up, obviously, what was trying to be pushed was that Gama was not the man who was chosen for the job initially.
When it comes to deployment, Griselda, basically the former Minister of Public Enterprises, Barbara Hogan, had basically said, as far as she was concerned, the deployment committee's job was really no longer necessary because it tended to appoint people who are loyal to certain individuals or even factions. And from that point of view, she felt it was not necessary. But I think what the former president did was to say, as the governing party, they have a committee that really assists. It does not necessarily appoint, but assists those who want to recommend certain cadres who need to implement the projects of a governing party. You know that if a party wins elections, it's got programs that must be implemented, and you want people who are skilled, who are capable, who are willing to carry out that program. So it came from that point of view. But as the details then as to how other people, particularly the issue of Siyabonga Gama, was handled, they started to drill in them. Then they felt, well, this issue, the president does not go through it all. So he would be briefed at some point, and then there would be people, there would be relevant ministers who will deal with these things. But when the final decision, Griselda, is taken, then cabinet will have to approve of that. When you're talking about cabinet, you're talking about the president and the ministers, and of course, that will be binding to all of them.
All right, Mzwandile Mbeje, a senior political reporter here at the SABC, monitoring the Commission of Inquiry into state capture for us today. Francis, over to you.